And hello, everyone. That's great time. You-
Sorry, my bad. I thought I was muted and I just deafened everything. That was me. Good God.
Do I want to keep that in the intro? I don't even know.
Let's just roll with
Keep it
it,
in the
man.
intro.
Fuck it. Let's
Welcome
go.
to episode number 4 here of the Warburg and Fusion Entertainment Review. I am Mr. Warburg. That's Mr. Fusion.
I'm the gassy one, guys. That's
Yeah,
me.
starting off, just coming in hot.
Just letting it all out, man. Just letting it all out.
So on this
Oh,
week's
let's.
episode, of WAFER, we got a ton of just like news stories to get through, and then my spoiler-free review of Mandalorian season 2, episode 1. That's a lot of words. But first, we got to get into what we're watching and what we're playing. So, Fusion, what have you been up to in the 2 weeks since we've been recording?
Well, let's see. Went back, started dipping back into Why the Last Man. I'm trying to finish up that series on comic print and graphic novel form, of course. Been playing a little bit more of 7 Days to Die and Modern Warfare because they're having their whole Halloween campaign with their zombie battle royals. I think we played We played last weekend, so it's kind of fun. You know, this when you go in a haunted chest, really scares the shit out of you. You know, it
Yeah,
makes it for a fun
it's
time.
great.
Like, trust me, there was a few times Warburg was like, "Holy shit," because it's just
It's
so
loud.
loud. It's loud, guys. In terms of movies and films and TV, I was gonna go ahead and start back up watching Agents of Shield from season 1, episode 1, which I did today. But I also caught a few old school movies, man. Getting the vibe of Halloween. I went back and watched the what I think is a very underrated zombie movie and a really good comic book adaptation, 30 Days of Night. Really love that movie. I do. I think the casting of Josh Hartnett and Melissa George was perfect. Really good movie. I think it's underrated. Honestly, the comic is very underrated in my opinion, as popular as it was in the comic book world. But the movie I think was very under the radar. And then also today, my wife has never seen it, so we had a chance to sit down and watch The Da Vinci Code.
Oh,
Really big fan of the book. Decent movie, not bad. Great casting, of course. Ron Howard film when he was at his peak, and yeah, that's really what I've been up to the last couple weeks. How about you?
uh, similar to you, I've been kind of just going through some older stuff. One of the ones I finally sat down to watch was Moneyball.
Oh
I was
God,
just in the baseball mood after the World Series, especially that epic game. What was that, game 5? Or was it
yeah.
game 4 with everything went off the rails in the end? That the final 9 innings were like 3 errors on one play to score the winning run. That was some fucking bonkers shit. So that got me in the baseball mood. So I finally watched that, which was a really good movie. I caught up live through Supernatural. I watched all the current final run so far. And last night shit went crazy. Like, I don't know where they're gonna go. They got 3 episodes left, and they kind of just blew the doors off the ending. So now I'm like, what the fuck? That would have worked great as a finale, but then they were just like, fuck it, we got 3 more to go. So I'm like, okay, setting yourselves up pretty hard here, so you better nail it, and I hope they do. On video game stuff, I've mostly been prepping for Extra Life. Got that's coming up Sunday, so hopefully this is out tomorrow. On Halloween itself, got a whole mess of people like Fusion, popping in to play some games, some Halo, some Among Us, some Fall Guys. I might call an audible and go Ghost Runner instead of Doom Eternal, so I can just be all on PC because
Okay.
I bought Ghost Runner when that came out. I played the demo when that dropped, and oh my god, that was a great demo. Watched a whole bunch of people play it. I'm like, shit, I want to get this game. It's like a cyberpunk, like first person, plays a ninja. You got a sword, got all these cool like Jedi moves and stuff. It's awesome. So I'm like, okay, I'm in. So yeah, that's mostly been it for me. I'm blanking on something. I know I am. I should have wrote all this down, but it's been a crazy week with Extra Life prep. So, but with that out of the way, let's get into some news. Fusion, you mentioned you were bringing up, or you're getting back into Why the Last Man. There's
Yep.
some casting news to dig into. Why don't you run us through that?
So it looks like the much anticipated series that went from originally on FX and then it went into limbo because Disney was purchasing the FX product, the 20th Century Fox series catalog, I would say their massive back catalog. And so it was put in limbo for a little bit, and then there was an actor cast, I forget his name, Barry Cogan. He's in the Eternals. He was originally cast as Yorick Brown, the lead role. He actually stepped down not long after I think the Fox acquisition took place. Ben Schetzner, who's actually really under the radar, mostly I think stage. He took over the lead role, and they actually recasted two people for actually really important roles in the series. The character of 355, who is um, York Brown, his basically his companion through the whole journey, and who plays his sister Hero Brown, who has a really interesting and sometimes dark and sometimes very inspirational story arc within the actual series. So they've changed a lot of the cast. I mean, three, from original pre-production while it was on FX. That I actually think they actually filmed the trailer. I mean, a pilot, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it got picked up
To
after pilot.
Okay, so where they are now, they're actually beginning production, but they've recasted three of the most important roles, which I think is I'm okay with because I went back and looked at the recasting, the actors, the actor and the actresses, and I think this feels right. Honestly, I think this feels more because with Barry Koenig. Keoghan, I don't know remember his last name, but nothing against the guy, but he just didn't look the part. I mean, if you really read the series, he just didn't look like a frail little goofy guy, which that's really what falls in line with York Brown is that he's the last man on earth, but he's probably the least appealing guy, that women on the entire planet want to have sex with to repopulate. And so that's part of the ongoing joke with him. But and it's his journey to becoming like just finding out who he really is as a man throughout the entire series. So I think that was great, and the casting of the two actresses that are taking over 355 and Hero Brown, I really like. I think this is going to be a good thing. And honestly, man, I think I told you this a long time ago, because Warburg and I chat about this quite all about this stuff, on the side all the time. Um, I was very happy that they were going into production with Why the Last Man. Wasn't very happy that it was going to FX because I felt like this had to have been on a streaming service because it's an R-rated show. That's it's one of those kind of like Daredevil. That's the only way it can really work. The show can really work because it doesn't have those FCC restrictions. And it moving to Hulu, I'm hoping that they don't put it into a PG-13 kind of slot. Still, hopefully they go flesh out the story the way it's supposed to be, honestly. And I'm not saying that it's all like nudity or any of that stuff, but that it plays an element to the story because you think about it, the story, if you guys don't know, Why the Last Man is basically at one moment in time every male creature on the planet Earth dies at the same exact moment, and there are only two males left, York Brown and his pet monkey Ampersand. And so they go on this journey to figure out what happened. And then it's a whole social commentary about how women have to take over and run the world, and the pitfalls and successes that happen along the way. So it's a really good story. One of my favorite comics of all time, and I'm very happy that they're moving it to Hulu. So hopefully we get a lot of really good content that's very true to the source material. Yeah.
Cool. And I'm honestly in it just for Olivia Thirlby. Her and Dread, she was fantastic. I love that movie.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, like, just when you look over the list of who's on the cast, you're like,
Yeah.
wow, this is a really good cast. But like, Imogen Poots was originally cast as Agent 355, and while I like her, I think she's great. I just really felt that it wasn't a good fit.
Mhm.
It wasn't gonna. It just didn't really feel like that was when I looked at her, and I like just on first glance, you're like, this doesn't feel like what I would picture a live action 355. And yeah, and so when I see the new listings, I'm like, okay, I like this. I really do. I like this.
Yep.
And
Okay.
I'm sorry, Imogen was playing Hero Brown. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was gonna say Lashana Lynch, who's
Lashana
now
Lynch. That's what I was thinking
hopefully
of.
maybe gonna be the new Bond. Maybe if that movie ever comes out.
That would be really cool, man. I was hoping that when I saw that news, I think it was like 6 or 7 months ago when they talked about that. That
Yeah.
would have been a
How
really
like
good thing.
her arc's gonna be basically be taking over for Bond after he either retires and or dies.
Yeah.
So that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm really happy that Why the Last Man is in full motion now, man. It's going to be a
Mhm.
really good. I have a feeling it'll be a really good series for Hulu. It will.
Yeah. Speaking of casting news, we have another story to get through, and that is
Oh, yeah.
Oscar Isaac coming to Marvel, coming back into the Disney fold, as it were. He's being brought into the Marvel Cinematic Universe as the character Moon Knight, where he'll play the titular character. It's a show being developed and written, or at least the lead on the writing team is Jeremy Slater, who has written and developed the first two seasons of Umbrella Academy for Netflix. And it's going to be a Disney Plus series based on the Moon Knight comics. and he's like a mercenary billionaire. Like, is he a billionaire or a millionaire? He's not like Batman's level. He's not.
He's
Like,
not he's not like a mega billionaire, but
yeah, but
he's a
he's
somewhat wealthy man.
so
Yeah.
he's more like a crazy Green Arrow.
Yeah, he's got FU money. That's a start. How about that? He's got some
Yeah,
FU money, but he's not like he can just build and buy everything he wants, which is kind of that whole backdrop with Bruce Wayne, you know?
yeah. Like he's not that rich.
No,
He's not Tony Stark rich. Like
no,
he's
he's
on the
not
rung
Tony.
below.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then like
He's like
his,
a Ted Kord maybe in the
yeah,
DC
that's
universe.
a better analogy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like his whole backstory is just fucking bonkers. Like you got the Egyptian moon god thing, then you got the split personality thing, and you got like, it's so bizarre. So I'm like, all right, you throw in Oscar Isaac in a character that's this off the wall crazy. I'm in. Let's go. I'm in for that. It's a fusion. You're probably more familiar with Moon Knight than myself. So
Yeah.
why should we be
So
excited about this?
Well, Mark Spector, the whole character, there is a level of goofiness, and then because of the whole personality disorder that he works throughout, the early editions of his series, um, it's going to be funny because just because when I saw the posting, I was like, this is perfect casting because um, Oscar Isaac has the range to be funny because you could see that in Star Wars where he has the moments of the dry humor and the witty humor, but at the same time, I hate to go there, but he was actually not bad acting as Apocalypse when he was in Sabanor,
Yeah, it
in
was
X-Men
just that
Apocalypse.
was more the writing around him that sucked.
Well, that and the fact that
The
he's
effects were
gone on
terrible.
record like he was like, guys, the suit was just just horrible. He was thinking that they were going to put him like a Josh Brolin, in a suit,
Yeah,
or where he was Thanos, but he was like green screening it, but and CGIing. But no, they were like, no, we're doing visual effects, and he's like, okay, we're really going there. But anyway, I like this, I really do, just because, like I said, he has the range to be funny. So the personality issues, he can really play into that. He has the look, kind of, and I know we could probably touch on that whole thing. There is a small black backlash from the Jewish community because of the origins of the character. But I think I really like him. I think Oscar Isaac is perfect for it, and I really think it's going to be uber successful for Disney Plus. It's going to be when I think about all the series that they're coming out with, WandaVision, it's going to be great. Okay, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I'm not going to be disappointed. Loki's going to be huge just because everybody fucking loves Loki. Let's be
yep.
real, everybody.
You got She-Hulk
But
coming out.
She-Hulk as well,
Like
and,
a Miss Marvel.
Miss Marvel, yes, and I think this is going to be probably of how like when Marvel Netflix first kicked in, everyone was like, okay, who's this guy? Who's this one? Who's this one? I knew Daredevil was going to blow everyone away, and I have a feeling this one's going to blow everyone away too. Yeah, I really do. I'm curious on the rating on this one if they're going to stick with the PG just because it is on Disney Plus rather than putting it on Hulu.
That said, they haven't shied away from being fairly violent on Mandalorian.
That's very true, but that is the Star Wars realm. You can't really back off too much from the Star Wars realm.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see like how much they push it. Because I could never imagine Daredevil being made on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
The Daredevil we got at least would not be made on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Which would be a shame because they have a dude impale himself through his face in like season 1. Which is crazy. That would never happen in season 1 or on Disney Plus.
No. Which is why I'm glad that they have the Hulu platform so they can put those shows. If it's a show that really works that way, put it on Hulu then. That's fine because you still have millions of people that'll watch it anyway.
Yeah. So then, speaking of Netflix like type properties, they've actually put out a price increase notice that they're going to be bringing up. The basic plan is going to stay $9, but they're making their more popular plans in the premium tiers a little bit more expensive. So this is an article from The Verge. They're raising the price of the most popular plan to $14. I do believe it was it 12? It's a $2.
No. Well, you talking about the most popular because the premium is the
13,
one that's
so it's $1. They're only raising the most popular one $1, 13 to 14, while the new premium tier is going, or the newer premium tier cost is going from $16 to $18 a month.
14 to 18. 14. I thought it was $14.99 right now, if I'm not mistaken.
No, the popular plan is 14. The premium is 18.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So the premium tier, which is like the 4K and 4 screens, that was 16. But whereas like I think my parents pay for the 13, which technically I helped them pay for it, and that is like it's 4 screens, but you can play like 4K at once or something like that,
Yep.
and then but not all can be at 4K at the same time.
Yep.
And that's what we pay for, and that's going to go to 14 essentially, which I'm fine with. Like I still watch a lot of content on Netflix. Like this last week, that's where I watched Moneyball. That's where I've watched a couple movies. They've got that Blood of Zeus animated series I kind of want to check out because it seems pretty short, but apparently fairly good. And they've got other shows in the pipeline and stuff. Like Umbrella Academy was fucking great. I loved season 2. God, season 2 was awesome. That was fantastic. So I'm okay with that price hike. I can't imagine paying $18 a month. That's a bit much. But like when I compare to the $15 a month I'm paying for HBO Max through Hulu, to the $14 I'll be paying for Netflix, I'd say it's kind of a wash. HBO has some of the newer stuff I want to watch, like a lot of newer series, like Watchmen. Was it Raised by Wolves that I need to get into? And like they have more movie content, whereas Netflix has a lot more of that back catalog. Get caught up when new seasons drop. Oh, one other thing that I just watched on Netflix, The 100 season 7. That had the Battlestar Galactica problem, and I was worried they were going to do that. Awesome run up to the finale, and then the finale just shits a brick of metaphysical bullshit. That's what happened. But are you muted, Fusion?
I'm here. I'm
Okay,
listening.
I didn't know. It was just totally dead quiet. I was like, "What the fuck?" But
No, I'm listening. I'm just letting you talk. I'm letting you
yeah,
rant, man, about these streaming networks.
it was. I'm not a fan of the 100 season 7 finale. It was fucking weird.
And you were a big like
It
you
was
would put,
it
you would
was
push out 100 to everyone. I
it
knew
was
like
really
you were
good.
always like
Like
that
it
was
was on the not quite on the level of like a Battlestar, but in that like it was just really good to watch. Fun to like the character and like interactions were very engaging. It's one of the best parts of Battlestar Galactica. All those interpersonal conflicts and
sure.
across all the different seasons and how they would change and morph over time. The 100 was very similar and even had a lot of the same cast in the early going. A lot of the older adults in the show were from Battlestar Galactica, so you had a lot of crossover there.
Yeah,
I think some of the writers too came over to adapt the books into the show. It got weird, but I do watch a lot of Netflix still, so I'm cool with $14. But Fusion, what's your take on that price hike?
let's see. They canceled Glow, which I'm really pissed about because they decided not to push through that final season. Like, give them just finish the story because that was going to go
I
into
don't
the
know how
final
you do a
season.
wrestling show with COVID restrictions.
Yeah,
Like
that's true.
how logistically do you do that?
Yeah, that's very true. It's a good point, but I mean, if you have to postpone it, rather than just
But
saying
some of
it's
those
canceled.
actors they're not small time. Like
No,
they got other
no.
things to do.
That's true. I mean, but I've heard that they're all pushing for a movie. Then okay, well, you're still gonna have the same problem, in terms of
Yeah.
production. You're gonna have to, if it's a show that requires audience, you're gonna have a problem with that. Outside of Glow, I mean, Stranger Things is still a Netflix product that's gonna come out next year.
Mm-hmm.
They wrapped on season 4 production, and that's coming out. So honestly, man, I'm okay with the price hike. I do have the 4K plan because I mean I like to watch my shit in 4K. I mean Daredevil in 4K is pretty badass. I get where the most popular one. I can see people kind of complaining about that. At some point, we're going to get to the fact that Netflix they do this every year where they just start canceling just rounds and rounds of shows every single year, and that most of their productions don't get past what season 4 or 5 maybe if that.
If that,
Um,
that's lucky if they get to season 3.
yeah. So I could see I could see a point now where people will just start unsubbing and only sub in when they're ready to watch a season. Like let's
Mm-hmm.
say Stranger Things, they may just say, you know what, screw it, it's not coming out till 2021, late 2020, summer 2021. Let's go ahead and just let's cancel it. So I wouldn't be shocked if we see next quarter that their numbers dip down a bit just because of the price hikes. But
Yeah.
for me, I'm okay with it. It's still with Disney Plus, HBO Max, Hulu, Netflix, and I don't count Amazon Prime in my charges because I consider that my Prime membership is for the shipping and all of that other stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
So the movies are just a perk. The Prime Video is a perk of that.
Yeah.
So all of that still to me is still like I've done the numbers. It's still cheaper than what I was paying when I had the bundled cable TV service. So sure, I'm okay with it for now. If I start to notice a decrease, which I'm slowly starting to see it's a possibility. And I think we kind of called this last year that with Netflix losing, the NBC stuff and the Disney stuff that we're gonna see maybe a little dip in their quality of their original content. But hey, man, there's a lot of good indie comic labels out there. Keep going after those guys, and let's see what happens. I really think they should have went push hard for Why the Last Man before it was purchased by FX. I really do.
Speaking of indie stuff, where was the Invincible show going to premiere? What network or streaming service is that on? The
I think that's
animated.
Prime. That's Amazon Prime.
It's Prime, yeah, because it's
Yeah.
it's Goldberg and Rogan, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
who were like, yeah, so they kind of took on that deal too. So
They're Amazon's golden boys right now.
yeah, they are.
You look at An American Pickle, you look at The Boys. Yeah, they're. I'm sure they have a big fat deal, exclusive deal with
Hmm.
Amazon right now. Yeah.
Yeah, especially coming off what they probably got for Preacher, because they're the one, weren't they the two behind that too?
Yeah, but Preacher was an FX show, wasn't it?
It was AMC actually.
Oh, it was
And I
AMC.
do
God,
wonder
that's
if that
right.
AMC relationship scared them off of television. Just be like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just
AMC has
let's go
the ability
streaming.
to do that to people. Like I mean, think about
Well,
The
think of what they
Walking
did to
Dead.
Frank Darabont.
Dear Bond.
Yeah,
God.
yeah. Like, God, and especially like as a huge Sam Witwer fan, they just cut off and like he was supposed to have like an 8 episode arc through a
Yep.
season, and he was only in the show for 30 seconds. It's like,
Yep.
motherfuckers, you did
Yeah.
wrong. You did wrong by Sam Witwer.
I think that pissed off a lot of people because Darabont left season one. Season two sucked really, really bad.
Oh, it
And
was
was it season
terrible.
three? Was it season three when he came back, or was it season four when Darabont came back?
I think it was
Okay.
4 because wasn't that the
Okay.
farm?
Yeah, that was well, no, season two was the farm.
Was season 2 the farm?
Yeah, season three was the prison. Yeah, season three jumped right into the prison.
I'm totally lost on. I
Yeah,
honestly
like
season
yeah,
one, season one hooked me. Season 2, I was like, oh, that was fucking stupid. And
yeah,
I
that was dumb.
peaced out and never came back.
Yeah.
But then those first 6 episodes, oh, damn, were they good?
Yeah.
Oh, like the figuring out that the CDC is just gonna like implode and then crazy.
Nah,
Loved
it was
it.
season one of The Walking Dead was really, really, really good. Yeah,
Yeah.
I gotta admit that. But like I said, amongst all those platforms, I'm still paying less, so I'm cool with that. So there's my long answer about Netflix. Honestly, yeah,
Okay.
I'm okay with
So
it.
now we got a whole bunch of gaming news to get through
Yeah,
before we get to our semi-big topic, which won't really be that much bigger than a news topic because only one of us watched the show.
sorry, been busy.
Sorry, blame him.
That's on me. That's on me,
Blame him.
guys. It's on me.
Okay, so we brought up Warzone earlier. The new Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War is going to need, if you play the full game campaign and multiplayer, 250 gigabytes of space. At least on PC, it'll probably be more trimmed down on consoles because they know exactly what everybody's specs are. But 250 fucking gigabytes at launch. That is absolutely crazy.
It's a big file, man. It's a big file.
On the plus side, they are giving you a little customization of what you download, what you use, or what you're paying for. So you only need 50 gigabytes if you're playing just the multiplayer, which is right around in line with the regular multiplayer suite of Modern Warfare. Warzone is kind of its own thing, and they're going to continue it. From what it sounds like, that's going to be a spin-off and do its own thing.
Yep.
Warzone will continue to run in the background of newer releases multiplayer suites. So they'll eventually spin off, probably have its own launcher on the Blizzard app to just be Warzone, and then each game will have their own individual multiplayer suite. And I'm guessing they'll implement crossplay from those platforms as well. If you want to just play it all through one launcher, you can. But that'll be an interesting one to watch. Personally, I'm probably not going to be getting Cold War.
Yeah, I'm good on Warzone, man. I just, I know we were all playing it when it first came out, and when Warzone alone hit 250 gigs, a couple months ago, everybody has said they had to delete it because like I can't afford, if I have Master Chief Collection and Warzone, that's a fucking that's a terabyte hard drive right there, man.
Yeah,
I can't do this. Like I
it's
can't do
crazy.
this. Now the update brought it down to 100 gigs, which is still a big fucking file for a battle royal game, but yeah,
And then
I'm okay with that.
PUBG's like 50,
Yeah, honestly, it's yeah,
and that's a lot less.
yeah, that's true. I think it was 7 Days to Die. I re-downloaded the other day, and it was like something like 10 gigs.
Yeah,
Like,
it's just
okay, this is more in my zone here of file size, honestly.
it's nuts how far games have come in like just 5 years of space.
Yeah.
Like I was moving some files between my 360 to my One for a stream I did a while back, and it's like Mass Effect, like 360, or the Mass Effect 3 was like 8 gigs. It was a big motherfucking game. 8 gigs. A couple years later, Xbox One rolls around. Oh yeah, now all the games are like 50 gigs. Fuck. It's crazy how shit blew up.
Well, you have to remember, you're also dealing with this generation, 4K ray tracing, all of that
Oh
stuff.
yeah, it's the ray tracing that's
yeah.
really gonna pump things up. Because not having to use in-engine tricks to fake lighting, to have like to literally simulate light, like, and actually simulate it, not do a trick of like, oh, this is bouncing off that.
Yep.
By programming, like have it be reactive to what you do with the controller. That's huge. That's massive. That's so much space that's going to take up on these hard drives, because it's not a resolution jump this time.
No, it's not. No. Count me out on Cold War. I like Warzone, but I mean, I've overall, like, with the campaigns, been worn out with Call of Duty. Had to move away from it.
Yeah.
Warzone I like just because it's a battle royal. You know, I like playing battle royals with you guys. What can I say?
Yeah, they're fun.
Yeah.
So other game news, a couple Sony related things, and then we got a couple slight gaming things at the very end. That is Spider-Man Miles Morales revealed their Into the Spider-Verse suit today, which is actually a suit mod. So it's separate from the actual Into the Spider-Verse suit, like the look of the suit. It's a function that actually allows your Spider-Man, Miles Morales, to be animated like Into the Spider-Verse, like on the 2s type animation. Or is it on 1s and 2s?
1s and 2s, I think.
Something like that. It's a thing. I don't know animation stuff. If Chris was here, he could tell us. But it literally, you just watch the video and it's moving exactly like the movie did. It's amazing. Like Fusion, did you ever play the PS4 Spider-Man?
Yes, I did.
Did you ever get the comic book suit?
Yes, I did.
Love. I ended up platinum that game. It's one of the only platinums I have. That and God of War. It's like that suit, but with the animation style, frame rate animation style of Spider-Verse, which is crazy. Like, that's so cool. Really makes me regret.
I think it's awesome. It's awesome. I mean, I saw the trailer for it, and it's like, okay, that's I want to play in that suit. I do, just because the animations look great. They really do. I think they show you like the combat fighting a car and how you jump in and out through the windows and take the steering wheel off. I mean, the door off and use the door as a surfboard. I really like it. I think it just that, and on top of the fact that it comes with a fucking cat that helps you with your fatalities.
Yeah, Spider Cat. Yes.
Spider Cat. I mean, dude, come on, sign me up for this. You know, that's the part of Sony that makes it so hard to say, God, these guys haven't handled this next gen initiation. You know, this whole initial approach really well. They've actually dropped the ball a lot, but then they throw out these little nuggets with Miles Morales. It's like, okay, I still got to buy a system. I've got to buy a PS5, at least a digital, just to play this game. You know?
Yeah, like that's my thing. Like, I'm not gonna get one at launch. I'll probably wait until there's like a bundled pack, like what they did with like Horizon, God of War, and I think Last of Us, that they had a bundle pack with. Something, probably not something that crazy, but I'll buy something like that. Because of one thing, like you mentioned, they dropped the ball on some things. Like for me, that's the backwards compatibility. Like that's the big like, that sucks. Like what they did with Spider-Man PS4, like you have to pay for the remaster. You can't just play it. You know, like it's so bizarre how they've made that system work. Another one now, one of my favorite series too, and one of my favorite games in the series. Not all of Ubisoft's PS4 games will work on the PS5, and Ubisoft is one of the biggest publishers out there. Like they're not a nobody.
No.
They're not a developer who was off in the weeds doing their own fucking thing and then come out to find a few years later it's not going to work on new hardware. It's fucking Ubisoft, all right? And it's their Assassin's Creed flagship series. A lot of them are their mobile ports, which is fine. Or I want to say handheld ports on a couple of them. But one of them is Assassin's Creed Syndicate. I mean, that was a AAA. We're not like this was the release of their year, was Assassin's Creed Syndicate. And it was a great game, by the way. Evie Fry is fantastic. Not a huge fan of them shoehorning the brother character in. that never felt right. It always feels like the developers who write the games are like, no, we want the female assassins, and then the developers are like, we don't want to animate women. Just fuck around. Don't like it. But yeah, the fact that that's not coming forward to the PS5 actually kind of makes me go, shit. I'm actually kind of glad I didn't pre-order anything, because I'm gonna start with a Series X whenever in stock it's at Best Buy and I can just go pick it up, because I want to be able to carry my library forward.
Yeah.
And I prefer Xbox's approach to that as a gaming ecosystem far better than Sony's.
Well, I think in this round initially, I'm sure the sales in the next 6 months or 1 year will tip into Sony's favor. There's just a lot more of the end users that love the PlayStation more than the Xbox. I get that, but overall, Microsoft has really dominated this round, like this pre-bout round, if you want to call it that, or whatever.
Mm,
It's just they've done a really good job with the marketing, how they've responded, the gaming platform with backwards compatibility, the Game Pass approach, adding EA to all of it. It's just like it's been really fucking brilliant on Microsoft's part, because I think the last gen consoles they screwed it up at the very beginning. I mean, we were making jokes about the one versus the PS4 from the very beginning, and that really affected the sales because of the jokes that were being made on the internet. This is a little different now. People are like, "Oh shit!" And then when the UIs came out to compare, it's like, okay, you know, the Xbox UI just it pops up and let's go. Sony's is let's give you some animations for about 10 or 15 seconds. Let's do a few more animations, and then let's weave into the heads up displays. Like, oh God, what are we doing here, guys? Come on, just fucking boom, PS5, boom, let's go. Let's get to the games,
mm-hmm.
And then the automatic mid games restarts with the Xbox that they've been showing out there look a lot better too, look more fluid. So
Yeah, Quick
yeah,
Resume
man,
looks phenomenal. And it works from off power. Like, you could
yeah, off
lose
power.
power, it's still in the buffer, you're good to go. Like,
Yep,
that's awesome. That's
yep.
fantastic.
That's how you use cache memory. That's exactly how you use it, right there.
Yeah.
But I really think it's gonna. I think initially it'll suck. But overall by Christmas time, it'll pick it back up for Sony. But the fact that they dropped they really dropped the ball on Spider-Man 4. I'm a Spider-Man on the PS4, and then moving it over to the 5 with that whole thing. You have to buy the game outright. That's just. I know that pissed off a lot of people. I really do.
Yeah.
I mean, remember when they first announced Miles Morales? It was rumored from an executive that it was going to be an extension of you know Spider-Man, the Peter Parker story. It was going to be a DLC, and everyone lost their fucking minds. And then all of a sudden, here comes a developer says, "Yeah, actually, what he said's wrong. It's going to be a standalone game." Like, was it a standalone game, or were you forced to make it into a standalone game? I'm curious,
Yeah.
like
Because
what
I would have
happened
been
there.
totally fine paying $40 for like a true expansion of the game. Like,
Yeah,
the one that comes to mind is Dragon Age Origins and then Dragon Age
sure,
Awakening. That was like a $30 DLC,
yeah,
but it's a 25-hour game by itself.
sure, yeah,
Like, that's worth it, you know? And this to me feels it's going to be like that, but more on the side of like the Uncharted Lost Legacy side, where it's like a 30 to 40-hour experience instead of a full-fledged, hey, we're going to drop 100 hours in this game. I'm sure some
sure.
people will, but it's not going to be like everybody knows this is what they're getting in for when they dive into Miles Morales.
Why couldn't they do a GTA 5 style setup where you have both characters running around the entire sandbox
That'd have
and
been awesome.
you can jump back and forth?
That'd have been so
Uh,
cool.
I mean,
But I
like, okay,
imagine something's going to happen to Peter
yeah, I'm sure, sure,
to make him become Spider-Man.
yeah, very good
Speaking
point.
of Miles Morales. But that'll be interesting. Because, yeah, they're clearly, like, either they're sticking with the kind of Ultimate Earth storyline where Peter dies,
Nice,
but they've kind of mashed it up where he knew him before and he knew him as Spider-Man before. So he was kind of his mentor, which was not the case in the Ultimates. It just happened. Like, Spider-Man died, then he got bit, then he became Spider-Man. So, like, they were not connected beyond just the spider bite.
yeah,
So now in this game, they're very much connected in terms of, like, they just know each other. Peter's probably training him on how to use his abilities, all that kind of stuff. So it'll be interesting to play whenever I eventually get around to it. But it's going to be a bit.
Let me throw something at you real quick because we're bringing up Spider-Man here, and I'm always up for a good Spider-Man chat. What did you think about when you saw the news or the rumors that are out there that Tom Holland's not very happy with the fact that Maguire and Garfield are coming back?
I could see him not appreciating that because I mean, they're both quite a bit older than him actually,
Yeah,
and but then again, I don't know if I lend credence to that really because like he's definitely a nerd. I think
yeah,
part of him's got to be like, all right, it's pretty fucking cool because
yeah,
it's pretty fucking cool.
yeah. It is.
But then again, you also got like you got to deal with the fact that yeah, these guys are going to take some headlines. It's not all going to be about him. And that's not wrong of him to feel that way if he does. Because, I mean, he's the face of Marvel right now, more or less. So, yeah.
Well, I think okay. So from the blog I read that they were trying to push this rumor was that he wasn't too keen on the idea, even though a year ago he stated that it would be cool if they did this. Was that he in the first movie it was all about him and Tony Stark, and in the second movie it was about uh Nick Fury and Mysterio. So he really felt like, okay, so the rumor is that he just feels like, and even in the third one, it's going to be more of Peter Parker with a supporting main lead character, and instead it's two guys. So it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, I don't know how much credence I put into it, but I mean, like you said, if he's the centerpiece of the MCU right now, it's not just the Spider-Man films he's going to be in. He's going to be in the next Avengers films. He has to be.
Yeah.
That's just that they've crafted out to be he's the next Tony Stark. He's
Yeah.
going to be the
So
lead. The
he's going
lead.
to show up if they ever do a Fantastic Four movie. He's probably
Yeah.
showing up,
Yep.
And hopefully they get him in the Fantastic suit with the bag. Hopefully.
Oh, that'd be kind of cool.
Oh, that'd be hilarious. That was again, Spider-Man game. One of my favorite costumes, Spider-Man in the bag.
Oh, let's just be appreciative of the fact that we got like almost noirish Spider-Man with Spider Monkey, in the
Yeah.
Far From Home. Like it's just, I'm cool with the fact that they're really fleshing it out outside of just doing the traditional like vanilla style Spider-Man story. I'm okay with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Adaptation's fine. Doesn't have to be
Yeah.
completely one note the same.
Now, Sony talking about the rumor mill, Sony saying that they announced that Maguire and Garfield were coming back for this Spider-Verse third film. Now they're also saying that, hey, we may even give them their own solo movies. It's like, okay, guys, Sony, you got to pump the brakes, man. You can't just
Yeah,
you're gonna
Sony.
do too much Star Wars, too much Spider-Man. You need to pump the fucking brakes, guys.
Sony gets puts the cart ahead of the horse so
Yep.
fucking much. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Like
Yep.
they're constantly getting in their own way. It's like, and then like fucking with Disney over the Venom, what's canon, what's not. Like pulling Holland out of the MCU. Like, and that, to be fair, it's totally their right. They own the characters, license.
It's a contractual thing.
That's fine. I don't care about that. But it was more just kind of like the double speak about like who's to blame and all that. And it's like, really, Sony, you're getting free money. Like, Disney's paying for all the production cost. You're not, So it was kind of a double-edged sword for them there. And the Venom thing really is what. And now they're doing the Mobius movie, but like they keep trying to say it's canon, but Disney's like, dude, stop, just fucking stop. Yeah. Like I can't imagine what Kevin Feige has to be going through every time Sony puts out a trailer. Like he's probably not super thrilled. Especially with the Adrian Toomes reveal in the first trailer. I can't believe they put that in the first trailer. You don't put that in the first trailer.
No, you don't put that in the first. That wasn't even the first. That was like
because that's the end tag. That's not in the movie. Don't put it in. Don't put it in the first trailer. No. If you have to put that in the first trailer, the movie's gonna suck.
Yep.
Which is sad. But speaking of Sony, this time maybe not putting the cart ahead of the horse.
Nope.
And that is, Sony is reportedly close to buying Crunchyroll for nearly $1 billion. It was something like, the conversion was like, from yen to dollars was like 957 million. So they're going to be basically, if the purchase goes through, essentially remerging Funimation, which I believe they own how much of? They own just a controlling stake of the whole thing.
Don't quote me on this. I think they have a controlling stake.
So they're going to be, because back in the day, Funimation and Crunchyroll were together.
Yes.
At least in partnership.
Yes.
Not the same company, of course, but a lot of their catalog was shared with each other. And then Crunchyroll got bought by AT&T, and when the whole Otter Media deal went down. But now AT&T's like, fuck, we got a lot of debt, and we're not making a lot of money. Because we got $150 fucking billion in debt. for
Yep.
one company to have, which is that's nuts. Like I wouldn't even know where to start dealing with that
Yeah.
mess.
Yep.
And so they're selling it. They tried initially to sell it for 1.5 billion, but they said, "Whoa, that's Sony's like that's a bit steep." So AT&T came back with the 1 billion ish dollar offer. Yeah. So that's basically where they're at right now. Yeah, Sony already owns. They already totally own, I guess, according to this article, the U.S. animation distributor Funimation, which has current license to like Attack on Titan, Full Metal Alchemist, One Piece, etc. So that's pretty big in the anime side of things. Basically, they're gonna own like 90+% of like U.S. distribution of anime,
Yeah.
which is a lot.
It's a smart move by Sony, but we've come a long way from what I'm going to think back here, 5 years ago, where they were talking about dumping off tons of their IP, including potentially reselling the Spider-Man IP back to Marvel. At that time, this was, a
This was
year or
that
two
was that
before
was
Civil
the
War.
email leaks, right? Like 2014.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I remember that. That was post ASM 2, post
yep.
Amazing Spider-Man 2. Yeah.
Yeah, and there was talk of them just starting to just dump IP because they just needed the money, and we've come a long way, and I'm sure Sony is they should be thanking Marvel for a big coup with Spider-Man doing as well as it's been doing, because of the cuts they get off of the Spider-Man films, as well as Venom pushing in at just under $1 billion, what
Yeah.
890 million, something like that. Yeah, man, it's just I get it. Sony sees what all the other big companies, these conglomerates are doing, and it's time for them to start getting more IP, and investing in it. Now, what about the question is, are we going to get a Sony streaming network? Because I'm going to tell you, man, if I think the PlayStation UI is total dick, I think that a Sony streaming network is going to be ass as well.
Yeah,
That's just
I can't. I would never trust them to manage a media network.
no.
Like again, because of that conversation we were talking, like they just constantly get in their own way.
Yep.
Like they don't let cooler heads prevail, and they don't let the smart people who know what the fuck they're doing. Like they're kind of like the Japanese WB in some ways, at least in terms of IP and media production.
Yeah.
They just executives don't want to get the fuck out of the way, especially because going back to those leaks and stuff. It was like they constantly just dicked with Sam Raimi on the Spider-Man series, and then of course later in the Amazing Spider-Man stuff. And they're again constantly fucking with their partners in Disney because the execs just don't want to shut the fuck up and let the people who have a bigger stake handle it. So I wouldn't trust them to run a media operation, a la like a Netflix or Hulu, something like that. But I mean, obviously they're going to own Crunchyroll and stuff, but to them that's still a niche market.
Yeah.
I don't see that as a hey, we're announcing ourselves as competing with, name your streaming service. Crunchyroll
Yeah.
and Funimation, while popular among their, easily the two most popular, places to go for anime, are not on the level of those other services in terms of viewership, in terms of subscriptions and revenue. They're just not. But I don't know, because I mean, like they still have Crackle, which is Crackle.
Eh.
Who gives a fuck about Crackle? Though I will say I
Eh.
did watch Major League 2 on it for free a few months ago. So
I can't forgive Crackle because they did a really horrible Joe Dirt too. I don't know what that was about. That
that
was
was
just
yeah, it's just so weird. Like
that was
if they're
that was
gonna
like a
do
Freddy got fingered. That was what the fuck
yeah
did I just watch?
yeah if they're gonna do media stuff, Crackle's got to go.
Yeah.
Like which means they'd have to pull all their stuff away from everybody else. So you're not gonna see Spider-Man on Netflix. You're not gonna see Venom anywhere. You're not gonna be able to really get it anywhere outside of renting it. Only through them. Like that they'd have to they don't have enough IP to launch it without consolidating everything. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like they're not as widespread as a lot of other companies.
Sure, makes sense. Yeah, it's a smart move for them just because AT&T had HBO Max, and I think HBO Max is going to keep getting better and better, and
Especially since they
eventually,
gave it back to the HBO guys.
yeah, exactly. I think at some point the HBO guys were going to look at the Crunchyroll IP, all of that anime, and just say, let's revamp the Crunchyroll brand, whether it be rebranding it or whether implementing it under the HBO Max banner or something or another. They knew that was going to happen, so it's like, okay, well, AT&T has debt. Let's see what we can get off of them. At least we could take that aspect away from their HBO Max catalog, because I have a feeling that that was going to be part of the expansive HBO Max at some point. Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
It'll be an interesting part of streaming to watch is what Sony does next, because I can't imagine they're done with just Crunchyroll.
No, no.
So I'll be curious to see. But again, I wouldn't trust them to manage like just any type of streaming platform. It would just be a nightmare. So a couple quick things before we get into my spoiler-free Mandalorian talk, because we are at roughly 40-ish minutes of the episode.
Let's go.
One of them is just, again, Netflix or Microsoft just fucking nailing the PR marketing.
Yep.
So remember when the Series X, the trailer dropped? Was it last summer? No, the summer before, maybe even? Or was it last spring? I can't remember. But it was like this like weather background, and then like you see the Xbox One come up, and it's like looks like a fridge. Yeah. Like everyone was like, "Well, it's a fridge," and then nobody was joking when they saw what the PS5 looked like. Yep. They're like, "Oh yes, give us the fridge." So then Microsoft went out and just fucking made an Xbox Series S fridge. What a great trailer. Like, it's this great, awesome cinematic trailer, and then it's got the power your dreams thing, and then it quick slides to power your memes. Yes, their social media team is on fucking fire. The only thing they could have done better with this reveal is if they'd rolled out a Series X in life-size scale, and that was the deep freeze, because that fridge doesn't have a freezer. That would have been awesome.
That would have been awesome. Yeah, that would have been awesome. Brilliant marketing by these guys. I mean, just think about it. It doesn't have a freezer, but how many of these fucking Xbox Series X fridges will they sell?
I don't know. Are they going to sell any?
I don't know, man.
Is it just a one-off?
It just depends on how viral it went. Honestly, I could see them putting it in production. I really could. I could.
Okay, it says they're going to be giving away the fridges in a competition.
Okay, all right.
It would be priced if they said the price if we sold these would be $4.99, which for just a basic stand-up fridge that's not that
deal.
Much different than a stand-up freezer. Stand-up freezer is going to run you about $500-$600. Yep. You know, for like a Frigidaire or something. I sold appliances for a few years. I can't imagine the prices have changed that much. They're appliances. So that's actually not crazy, $4.99.
No.
But I wouldn't buy just a fridge. I mean, I get why they did the all fridge, because it 100% fits the aesthetic.
Yeah.
I would have done mini fridge myself, and then sell those for like $200.
When I saw the trailer at first, like without watching it, when I just saw it posted on social media, I was like, I thought it was a mini fridge. I was like, I'm gonna fucking buy that and put it in my fucking office. You know, it's gonna be right here behind me while I play on my Xbox Series X.
Yeah, if it was a mini fridge, it'd be in my office at home.
Yeah.
Like that's legit. Obviously I'm not gonna buy this to put in my kitchen, but you know, mostly because I think my parents would be like, "What the fuck?"
Well, it's like a garage beer fridge, but it's like it's kind of throws away with it gives out the fun of having a giant Xbox Series X somewhere.
Yeah, that needs to be seen.
Yeah,
right. Like that's a centerpiece of your kitchen thing.
Now I will say this, Warburg, because I've seen a lot of people talk about this. A lot of people are like, "We want a mini fridge." If they build a mini fridge, I'm buying it.
Oh, I agree. I'm 100% with you there. Like, I will have to look at where my budget's at and be like, "Can I do it?" And if I can, I will buy it.
Yeah.
Because it would be nice to have, like, I have that extra desk. It'd be nice to just set it right beside that and just be like, "Yo, there's my stuff." Keep my buffalo sauce in there. I'm done with pop, so be water in there for now. I haven't had pop in 3 weeks. But
oh yeah, I forgot. You're in that part of the country where y'all say pop. We say Coke for everything out here in the South.
Fuck that shit. Mountain Dew is not Coke. It's pop.
Coke. Can I have a Pepsi? Oh, you want a Coke? Okay, hold on. Warburg wants a Coke. Okay, which one? Dr. Pepper. That's really how it works out in the South, man.
Yeah.
They're all Coke.
Crazy.
It's soda water or Coke. That's what we say out here.
Soda water? Oh my god. What is it, fucking club soda? Pop. Jesus.
What is this pop? What are we in the 1920s?
All right, tell you what. Pop. When Noobs gets on the call on Sunday, we're going to have this conversation again.
Okay, because he's a Minnesotan, right? Yeah.
Yeah, right. That's what we say up here. I'm like only 20 miles from Minnesota.
Okay. Well, hold on. Well, Jenna's going to also be on the call, and she's a northerner that now lives in the South. So maybe she can give her perspective on Lozelda.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I was coughing. I couldn't hear what you said.
Yeah, she's a Michiganer from...
oh, yeah.
that's made her way down here into Texas. So yeah, maybe she'll give her perspective on what she feels. Look,
Yeah.
we can get a full
Then we
ruling
got
on
to
this
tell you
here.
about the word scotcheroo.
Oh, don't even go there, Scotcheroo. What
First
the
off,
fuck?
it's the greatest thing the Midwest has ever made.
Scotch.
Right? Like, it's amazing. It's a Rice Krispie treat with peanut butter, some corn syrup, and maybe like marshmallow cream a little bit to make it to thin it out a little bit. And then you just layer on, like, you just melt chocolate chips on top. And you bake them. And it's fucking awesome. They're the best.
So it was National Fluffernutter Day last week, and I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago. And we are the CEO of the company I work with. He's from Michigan, so he's like, yeah, it's Fluffernutter Day. A lot of people don't know what a fluffernutter is, man. Do you know what a fluffernutter is?
I may know by looking at it, but not off the name, no.
Okay. But it's like a sandwich. You
Oh, so
use
it's
some
marshmallow
you
cream
use
and
that.
peanut butter.
Yep, yep, and peanut
Yeah.
butter.
I've
So
had
yeah.
Fluffernutter cookies, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've had those.
Okay. So a lot of people don't know what they are down here. So yeah.
Yeah, look
Fluffernutter
at
Day.
what I put in Discord. Look
Oh
at that.
God.
Look at that. And you can
Oh
get it.
my
You can get the
lord.
big like plate size ones for like $1.50 at grocery stores sometimes, and they're always fucking awesome because they stay moist because like it's got that like it's more peanut buttery. Especially, I don't like ones that are too much peanut butter. It shouldn't be like a Reese's. It shouldn't be the chocolate. Should be the what gets you
Yeah.
going.
Yeah.
People that put in too much peanut butter, it's also like a brick. You can like slam it on the table and it won't bend. I don't want to break my teeth off eating the thing.
No.
My mom's recipe is legit, so that's my. Yeah,
Nice.
her and one of the church ladies ended up making the recipe for that. So like, that is one of the greatest Midwest things. But speaking of stupid small internet stuff, before we get to
Food
other big
segment of the
topics,
show, guys. The food segment.
that is, if you remember the Fusion, I dropped this on you right before we went live, but the bad lip reading does these like song versions of, instead of just bad lip reading, versions, they'll do songified versions of it basically. One of them, their most famous one, probably being Siegel's Stop It Now. Like, it had like Mark Hamill commenting on it, like a whole bunch of other people were involved with Star Wars were like, this is fucking amazing. I think even Frank Oz got in on it too. And then it ended up going gold as a single. It was fucking weird.
I know. It's just 2020 is weird, man.
Yeah.
What more can I tell you?
It's weird.
I'm still calling aliens in December, and I don't know, man.
Well, we've
I'm
already
feeling
had the UFO tapes drop.
Yeah, we've had the UFO tapes drop, and a couple days ago, it was found that there was potentially carbon-based organic material on Titan.
Yeah.
One of Saturn's moons.
And we can get water from the moon.
So I'm calling aliens in December, man. 2020 is a weird year, and we're gonna cap it off with some alien
Yeah, and you got
shenanigans.
fucking Elon Musk out here being like, yo, on Mars, we're going to make our own laws.
Yeah.
Like, it's just crazy. But anyway, let's move into our really quick, my spoiler-free thoughts on Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 1. Episode title, The Marshal. Which is fantastic because the main supporting, like, new person character in this episode is the Marshal Raylan fucking Givens, played by Timothy Olyphant. Which is just perfect casting. Just perfect casting. Timothy Olyphant is amazing. Justified, if you've never seen it, go watch it all. It's one of the best shows. It's one of the best 2 or 3 shows FX has ever done. And they've done some seriously good shit. But that's different conversation. So you're following the Mandalorian. It's not quite a direct pickup from season 1 where, he leaves the Mandalorian Forager and leaves Navarro with the child, jets off into the sun, and then fade to black. We don't pick up with Cara Dune at all. We don't see Grief Karga. Is that who Carl Weathers plays?
I think
that
so,
sounds right.
Yeah.
We don't see them at all. Like, there's not much interconnection there other than the Mandalorian and the child. But you do immediately pick up on him on the quest. Like, they're trying to find Mandalorians so they can find Jedi. So he hears on one of these worlds of, hey, and by the way, this might have some spoilers. Fusion, are you okay with spoilers?
I'm okay with spoilers.
Okay.
That's on me.
So he hears of that there may be a Mandalorian on Tatooine, and he's like, bullshit. I've been on Tatooine a lot. There's no Mandalorian. But the guy he's after was like, no, I'm being serious. You can just you can have the information for free because his life's being threatened at this point because he tried to pull a fast one on Mando and got his ass kicked. So he goes to Tatooine with the kid. You meet the mechanic lady from a couple. What was that episode? Was it episode 5?
I believe.
Yeah, episode 5.
So.
And so you run into her again. They have a nice interaction, and so you get that some time has passed because it's clearly been a while. And like he's clearly, obviously, again, another good way for them to show that he's changed. Like he's very more open with her. Like the droids are working on his ship now. Like so, some time has passed, and he's grown as a character. Then he starts piecing out the mystery of where this Mandalorian is. Like he got a town name that doesn't exist. So then this mechanic lady gives him an old map of pre-Empire map of Tatooine, tells him the story about what happened to this town, but she's like, I don't know. And we get a little more backstory about like what happened in the galaxy when the Death Star exploded. So you get a flashback with Timothy Oliphant's character later, like what happened in the immediate aftermath of the Death Star 2 exploding over Endor, which was a really nice touch. And just some nice little world building of what the world is like in the Outer Rim when all this shit's going down.
Yeah.
So he goes to this abandoned town and is like, hey, I'm looking for a Mandalorian. And they're like, what's a Mandalorian? Like, looks like me. Because he's wearing, his badass silver Mandalorian armor. And then, so then the bartender's just like, oh, well, there you go. It turns around. Someone standing in Boba Fett's armor. He's like, hey, come over here, grabs drinks from the bartender, and goes, sits down. Pops the helmet off, and you see the Mandalorian be like, whoa, what the fuck? You're not supposed to do that. But he's like, I'm not a Mandalorian. So you're probably going to want to kill me for this armor. I'm probably not walking out of here alive, so let's have a drink. But then this huge fucking sandworms comes through, right as they're about to kick off a fight. And then he looks at him, because Mandalorian wants the armor. Because it's like their whole thing is we got to maintain that, ancestral connection. So, and it's like an affront to them to wear and use their technology without their permission or by their training. So then the sandworms comes through, literally just gobbles up a bantha and just fucking pieces out. And it just like ripples the sand and it's clearly massive. So then he's like, tell you what, you help me kill that thing, you can have the armor. Tells him a little story about how he got the armor, bought it from some Jawas after he stole money unknowingly from a bunch of bandits who immediately took over after the Death Star exploded. The power vacuum, the Empire pieced out in like an hour, and then all these bandits and private companies with guns were like, no, fuck it, you're all slaves now. So then he ended up running, grabbing their diamonds. Like I think it was diamonds in like one of those like cases where he had the Beskar steel in season 1.
Yeah.
Then Jawas save him in the desert, and he's like, shit, that's Mandalorian armor, because everyone's heard the stories in this universe of the Mandalorians. And so he realizes that's Mandalorian armor. He doesn't know it's Boba Fett's armor, but he knows it's Mandalorian, so he takes it, puts on the armor, which is still functional, goes back in the town and kicks the shit out of all the bandits, uses the missile launcher, which is dope as fuck, and now becomes like the town sheriff, and he's the marshal, which is just, again, great casting because it's Timothy Oliphant. And he's awesome throughout the episode. And then they go on, and now they're like, fuck it, now we got to go kill this thing. So then we get, and I'm not going to go into how it happens because it's really tense and fun and awesome. But they do team up with some Tusken Raiders. Nice. And you get a interesting, like, very much, again, hewing to that Western kind of, the townsfolk working with the other to accomplish a means, and then actually living up to it, the deal, right? Like, that's something that you see a lot in some Western, especially like the 50s and 60s Westerns. So that is, again, played off. And then he rides off into the sunset after saving the day, because of course he does. This is episode 1. And then we see a very, very tantalizing glimpse of what's next on the horizon, because we see a character. And I don't want to tell you who, but have you heard who it is?
No, I have not.
Then I will leave it as it is.
Yes, I've been trying to keep a lot of the spoilers out of for Mandalorian.
I'll leave it up to there, because that's like what I gave you is like half the episode.
Damn.
So like there's a lot that happens in the last 15 minutes that I have not covered. And it's mostly all action. Like it's action set piece, like set up, more action. And it's awesome effect work. Like some of the best effects works on like monster stuff I've seen. Like outside of maybe like season 6 Game of Thrones, like with the dragon stuff. It's on that level. Like it was awesome. So you're going to love it. It's going to be
Awesome.
amazing. I can't wait to hear what you think about. Hopefully, by the time we next do it, episodes 1, 2, and 3.
3. Yep.
1, 2, and
That's
3.
gonna be the goal. That's gonna be the goal.
Yeah. So that'll be very interesting. So we didn't see anything about the whole like who Sasha Banks is playing. Nothing with Ahsoka Tano. All that stuff's gonna be pretty tight, I think, towards the end of the series or end of the season, which will be very fun for me because I just watched season 7 of Clone Wars. Finally binged it all. God damn, what a great show! What a great show! Man, it just shows to show you that Star Wars is best served on TV or in a TV type format. Where it's 22 minutes, 40 minutes, what have you. Episodic format for Star Wars is amazing.
Yeah.
The world is perfect for television. That it took this long to get great Star Wars television series, but then that we got 3 great ones in a row is phenomenal. I love it.
It's proven that it's a story, a universe, an IP that it's all about keeping the same pace. That's really it. Like, it's a slower pace to tell the story in the Star Wars realm. Well, that works better in a TV format because you can fill that space. Whereas like a movie, you have a 2.5 hour slot, but you feel so there. The studio gets so involved because, of course, it's the cost that's on that movie for one to shoot it, advertise it, all of that. So they want to be sure it has the elements that can generate a profit.
Mm-hmm.
Making sure that it's fast paced. It's got flashy lights for the kids and funny phrases and wackiness but seriousness and all. This is different. When season 1 came out, man, it felt like John Favreau got it. Like when you watch that first episode, you're like, it didn't blow you away, but it was like, so John Favreau is a fan of Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Like he did this as a fan, not as a like as J.J. Abrams is a fan, but J.J. Abrams is also a
He's an
reputable.
auteur. I'm gonna do it my
Yeah,
way.
exactly. So Favreau was like, no, we're gonna do a Star Wars. We're doing something that's like to the original like concept of Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
A space western. Yeah,
Which is
and I
very
love.
him and Dave Filoni. He's the guy that did, or he didn't
Yeah,
start Clone Wars, but he did do all of Rebels, and he finished a lot
yeah,
of Clone Wars. He's the guy that did like seasons 4 through 7 of Clone Wars, which are when it hit its apex. He is literally a Star Wars cowboy. Like
yeah.
he'll be on set, cowboy hat, the whole 9 yards. Like this is perfect for him.
Yep.
So I'm very excited to see where they go. But it feels like you were talking about movies, like they're doing the opposite of Star Trek. Star Trek, of course, started on television, went to movies only because the television show was successful, especially those first 6 movies, were only because it was the OG cast. It wouldn't have started that way. It had to come from television to movies. And it's a similar kind of thing. Like, it's not instantaneous teleportation across the galaxy. Like, stories take time. Traveling takes time, which leads to, longer conversations, people walking down a hallway. That takes time. And without prior stuff to build up to that would just be boring without that background, right?
Yep.
So you need that kind of stuff in the background to flesh everything out, which is what television does.
Yep.
So I'm hoping they lean more into the television side on Star Wars. Marvel doesn't need to. Not really. Because, like, comic book stories work in a 2-hour format. They've proven that it works.
Yeah.
Star Wars, you need the right story to make that work in the Star Wars universe. You need to have it be one consistent story from one consistent storyteller for it to work in a 2 to 3 hour movie block. Otherwise, 8 40-minute episodes, way better. Way better.
I agree.
Yeah. So
let me throw something to you real quick before we wrap up. Those 3 movies, the 3 sequels, I guess you would say it's a disaster, a failure, both artistically and
I would say artistically, commercially, obviously did very well.
no, not commercially, but I meant like from a fan service standpoint, because Disney took it over, they completely shit on the EU and said that's not canon anymore. That's just what do they call it? Legacies or something?
Legends, yeah.
Legends.
I think it's Legends.
Yeah. And they really just completely whipped everything up into just a total chaos. How do you get the main universe back on track? The Yusun Vong. You
Yeah.
have to bring them in, man.
Oh,
You have to bring them
I
in.
think they're setting it up already in the background. Some of the writers have been setting up that like Timothy Zahn. What's the admiral? Blue skin.
Uh,
I'm like Thrawn.
oh, Thrawn. Yes,
Admiral
yes, yes.
Thrawn. In his book, they're setting up that his people have been fighting this like extragalactic other, and the only reason they came to help the Empire and allowed cooperation there was because they needed the Empire's help. Like that was the only reason they were. Otherwise, they could have kicked the Empire's ass.
Yeah.
Or gone toe to toe with them. But that's really all we've got so far with them. So that's like, oh, they were setting that up. I hope they continue that story, especially because Rebels, Thrawn ain't dead, Ezra ain't dead. They went somewhere else into deep, deep space, into the unknown regions, which is where the Chiss are, which is Thrawn's people. And they were setting up this extragalactic other. So I hope when we pick up and eventually find Ezra, he's not just like Thrawn's captive or something. No, he's working with Thrawn to beat this fucking thing. Yeah. And that would be a great pickup for the universe at large. I hope they end up doing something with that.
Unfortunately, what that means though is you have to create multiple new protagonists unless you're going to bring Rey back.
Or you just say, fuck it, we'll keep it all on TV. And then you have Ezra being like, you know what we're going to need? A shitload of Mandalorians. And you just call it Mandalorians. not the Mandalorian. That'd be great.
Okay, yeah, but you have to bring the Vongs in. You have to. That's again
like, but like the Rey stuff that happened 30 years after what we're getting now.
Yeah,
which is awesome. Everybody loves it. How do you bridge that gap? Do you just say fuck it, forget about it? We don't care. It happened, but we're not going to ever talk about it, and we're going to do stuff that like totally invalidates its possibility. Maybe. I don't know. They've painted themselves in such a weird corner with Star Wars.
Yeah, and Rian Johnson and J.J. Abrams didn't help much. No. They really didn't. They didn't.
And that was, again, more of they went from 3 years, buy it, make a movie. Like, you didn't even understand what the fuck you were buying.
No.
Like, take the time. Get it right. It's fucking Star Wars.
Yeah.
I think they get it now.
Yeah,
but it's like you really fucked that shit with the trilogy.
Well, I mean, didn't Favreau sign like a big deal with Disney going forward to like consult on all of the Star Wars productions or something?
Yeah, and Filoni's like been given like a lot of the television. Like, you're gonna be our Feige for the TV side, more or less. Because like this is the dude that like before, when Lucas still had Star Wars and was making the Clone Wars, Filoni was his like number 2. Like, and he was like, here's the lore Bible, here's everything. Like, it's all yours now, right?
Yeah.
Like, especially when Filoni stayed with Disney after the purchase. He's like, it's all yours, man. And he got to work with Lucas's daughter and like making the show the success that it was. So I'm like, shit. Though him and Favreau together, oh, we're cooking with gas now. Let's fucking go.
Yeah, I'm ready to see what happens next. I'm talking about like productions outside of the Mandalorian. I have faith that the
just
next couple
what's next?
What's next?
It's gonna be great. And like, there's all these rumors going around that Raul Coley might be playing Ezra, because he's been teasing it himself, and it's mostly just a joke, but also maybe kind of hopefully not, because he'd be perfect for the role. Because it would be like 10-ish, 15-ish years after Rebels ended, because Rebels ended about like a year before A New Hope, more or less. And then we get that brief glimpse post-Endor with Ahsoka and Sabine. But that's like a couple years before The Mandalorian.
Yeah. Because
The Mandalorian is 5 years post-Endor. So the timeline's weird.
It's a little weird. Ahsoka, so Rosario Dawson's going to be playing her going forward, right? That's the deal?
Apparently.
Okay. I'm trying to...
I mean, that was the rumor. They never actually said she was playing Ahsoka.
She was playing. Okay.
But they also never really said which like person Tamara Robinson was going to be coming back as.
That's true.
Like they never really said any of these things. And we only really know that Katie Sackhoff is coming back to play Bo-Katan.
Yep.
That's pretty much it for like the prior incarnation of characters, and she's again just perfect casting. She was the voice cast and also could totally play a Mandalorian.
Yep.
So.
Yeah,
That'll
man.
be interesting.
I really like what I mean. It's Star Wars, but it's Star Wars done right. And so
Yeah.
what I'm excited to see what they can work on next, Filoni and Favreau, and let's push forward. Hopefully the next time we talk, we'll have 3 episodes to rap about.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be great. It's
Yeah.
gonna be great. I can't wait for it. Well, that's it for our show this week, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, now I'm closing out with a burp. We start and end with a burp.
There you go.
Like and subscribe. I'm at Mr. Warburg. He's at It's Mr. Fusion. Links will be in the description below as usual. And we'll see you in a couple weeks.